Today on the Hangout, we recap the Toronto Raptors' tough loss against Zebo and the Memphis Grizzlies. We also have to talk Kobe Bryant's post-player plans. Will he be joining us on the Hangout? And KD back in DC, Kevin Durant at home taking on the Wizards. All that and more on today's episode of Hangout. Basketball fans, welcome inside your home for Talking Hoops. This is Canada's #1 basketball talk show, Hangout. I am Akil Augustine. Once again, we thank you for joining us. And it's time to introduce you to today's contributors from One-on-One on TSN Radio, repping, of course, the U.S. side of things. Mr. Will Strickland, the American-Canadian, thank you for joining us.
No doubt.
All right, longtime Hangout contributor, Ansel London, Mr. London, the official photographer of Toronto basketball. Thank you for coming out.
No problem.
And the star of the OVO Bounce tournament every summer down at Ryerson, Morgan Lewis, M. Dot. How you doing, baby?
Man, good to be here, man. Good to be here.
Now, currently, we got to update the people on what you're doing because they all fell in love with you throwing them tomahawks down at OVO Bounce.
Yes.
But you are playing professionally in Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
What's the basketball like?
It's good, man. It's good basketball. It's definitely a culture shock. Pretty much everything I'm used to doing is basically illegal there, so kind of had to switch it all up. But it's a blessing, man. Learning a lot about myself and who I am as a basketball player in person, so it's a good look.
Well, hey, we've kind of adopted you. Another American that's adopted Toronto as his home, and we've adopted you. We're huge fans of what you're doing, Morgan, and best of luck over there in Saudi Arabia.
Bless, man. Bless.
All right. Now we just got to get into it, of course. This is Canada's home for Talking Hoops, so we got to jump into the hot topics, the big issues, of course. Big game hunting is what we like to do, and the biggest game, of course, on the NBA docket was none other than one of our MVP candidates. I'm saying it right now, KD. The fans in D.C., of course, hoping that he returns, but really the issue was the Wizards, of course. Paul Pierce hitting down the big three. We jumped right into the fourth quarter action. There's a tight one right down the stretch. Here you see a little action from the Thunder. Russell Westbrook with a huge layup. He played huge, of course. I heard a great quote about him earlier. But right now we have a tie game with 3 seconds to go. A little pick and roll action. Look at this super tomahawk dunk thrown down on the head of Marcin Gortat. Kendrick Perkins likes it. One time for your mind. I like that replay. But in the end, guess who was victorious? Here you see Kevin Durant on some screen and roll action with a huge triple over Pierce to bang that home. And final moments of the game now, guys. I was very impressed with everything Russell Westbrook was able to do. He left 0.8 seconds on the clock, 32 points, 8 boards, 8 assists. Your traditional almost triple-double for Russell Westbrook. But I'm going to start things off with this. Is there a better 1-2 combination in this league right now? And because we all had hopes for Love and your boy James, but I'll start with you, Ansel. Is there any combination better than Westbrook, Durant?
You know what? When you look at them individually, especially Westbrook, there's some things that you don't like about him. But when he's with KD, they get things done.
It's the perfect counterpart.
I don't know. It's weird. But it's organic in a sense. So it's like, you know, when those two together.
The media doesn't like it, guys. I mean.
Well, you know, there are some guys in the Bay Area that might have a conversation, the Splash Brothers, as well as the old guys down in San Antonio. But no question, Durant and Westbrook are 2 of the top 6 players in the world. You know, you have me, then LeBron, then you have KD, Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, and then Russell Westbrook. So, you know, when you have guys like that playing together, it's an explosive thing.
Yeah. Morgan, as a player, I mean, people talk about the fact that Russell Westbrook is way too aggressive and he needs to kind of concede some shots to Kevin Durant. But when you look at this team playing at its highest level, it's both of them being unconscious, no?
I think so. I think that's why they're such a problem. And I do think they are the best 1-2 combination in the league. They go city to city, arena to arena, and they always put on a show. You know, it's exciting basketball, and KD coming back from the injury, I don't think has let anyone down. And together, like you said, together they just, whether the math adds up or not, they're a problem.
And it used to be 1, 2, 3 with James Harden. That was like the best triple. But for me now, I'm looking at this team. They've kind of found a groove, and they've kind of found a place for Dion Waiters. So is Dion Waiters kind of a cure-all for this team because he kind of replaces what they missed with James Harden?
Dion Waiters is not a cure-all for anything. Dion Waiters does random acts of Dion, and that's it. So we'll understand what happens further on in the season, what he does in the playoffs, because we've never seen that before. And so right now it looks good. They've gotten above 500. But Dion Waiters is still a wait-and-see situation with him.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that, too. I think the whole situation with him being traded it humbled him maybe for a month or so, and then he'll kind of fall back into his old ways. You know what I mean? But they need a true big. They need a real true big.
Morgan, let me throw this at you. Russell Westbrook was kind of the Dion Waiters of the last year and a bit for them. 0 for 6 last night. How is this going to impact him? And is he expendable now? Sorry, Reggie Jackson. Sorry, yeah. Sure. Is he kind of expendable now?
I would say, yeah, he had a good year last year, but you know, with Westbrook back and bringing Waiters, his minutes are going to drop even more, and I feel like he's already having a bit of a struggle with the role he has this year as opposed to last year. But I agree. I think we'll wait and see with Waiters. I don't think he's a James Harden by any means.
Reggie Jackson's out of there. We already know he's out of there. Yeah. He wants to run a team somewhere in the NBA. It won't be in Oklahoma City. He knows that.
Not enough ball.
Dion Waiters is the insurance policy for that. So Reggie's going to have a tough go of it. Again, we haven't seen Dion Waiters in the playoffs. That could change, and he could make his money in the playoffs this year. So don't count Reggie Jackson out just yet.
Okay, now, on the other side, we had Washington Wizards on the court. How important of a game was that for them, and how disappointing knowing that that's like Oklahoma City, despite where they are in the standings, still one of the elite teams in the West, kind of a measuring stick for them, no? And how do you think they performed?
Toe-to-toe. They went toe-to-toe. And honestly, I'm not saying that they're out of it, but they're a strong team, and they know what to do, move forward, especially with Pierce, veteran guys on that team, John Wall. I don't know. I didn't see much of the game, but you know those guys are serious. When it comes down to it, they're ready to ball.
Believers in Washington, Morgan, Will?
I like Washington.
That face said no.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
Even though Marcin Gortat got hammered on last night by Durant. I like this team. I think they're lacking on the bench. They don't have a go-to scorer off the bench, even though their bench is deeper and better than it was last year. Washington's going to be a problem in the East, but they're not quite there just yet.
No, they are not, but there's still more basketball to be played in this 82-game season. And we've got more Hangout for you on the other side of the break. We got to talk about your hometown team, the Toronto Raptors. Currently going through a tough time, and they're trying to get on the right side of the schneid against Memphis. We'll report back on how that went. Hangout.